Hey everybody, it's time for part 5 of the Monday Q&A, the final part, so let's wrap this up for the day. Alright, first question. Jason, what in your opinion would be the best gear for an endurance athlete apart from the pep-tide EPO, knowing that its side effect can be death? Haha. I don't know if that's funny, bro. So not wanting to die, could you enlighten me? Must point out if I'm from the UK, so my laws are the same as yours. And I also have Google. I'm not asking you to Google for me either. Just value your opinion. Thanks. All right. Well, from a legal perspective, I can tell you one substance that has always been popular among endurance athletes, but here in the UK, it's underground lab only. So if you're possessing it, if the police confiscate it, they can keep it because you can't get a human grade pharmaceutical grade. Now, pharmaceutical grade stuff, if the police keep it here in the UK, you can write a letter, have a lawyer write a letter, and they have to return it or give you money for the value of it. They can't keep it legally because you're not breaking the law and you're allowed to have it on hand. And I know people who've done this personally. Have had the police have been forced by a letter from a lawyer to return all of their gear that they confiscated. So you want to stick with more pharma stuff, and remember, a lot of endurance athletes are tested, and Boldenon, again also known as equipoise, is just very, very, very difficult to mask. Now, I would say behind that, what I've known a lot of endurance athletes, and that means marathon runners, cyclists, even boxers, football players. By football players, I mean soccer, not American football. And what seems to do best for them, in my experience, as people who know that extreme endurance, seems to be low doses of testosterone and low doses of HGH. That's what they use. And by low doses, I mean down in the 200, 250 milligram range. And a lot of people say, well, that's almost TRT. It's not really. 200 milligrams will put you outside of the normal range. It will build muscle faster. It will dramatically improve recovery. It will increase red blood cell count. It will dramatically increase endurance over what a person has naturally. HGH, again, at low doses, down in the like 2 to 3 UI range, enhance recovery for endurance athletes. They can train more often. Doesn't help them with the endurance during the event, but it speeds up recovery. And those two things, neither one of those at those kind of doses add water weight to you, so you're not bloating, which is not going to slow you down with non-functional weight. So that's generally what they use, in my experience of dealing with a lot of athletes over the years. And that's not advocating that anyone do it. That is just telling you what they use, and those happen to be legal to possess in the country that you and I both live in. All right, next question. What is your opinion about Freelea, the banana girl? How about her raw till 4 p.m. lifestyle that she promotes? Oh gosh, how do I answer this one? I have a bit of a history with Leah because I used to troll her on a forum, and she would always come back for more abuse, and I really gave her a hard time. I think some of her stuff, and I'll be nice, is batshit crazy. But overall, I like what she does. I happen to enjoy some of her videos, although some of it is just too extreme and off the deep end. But overall, because I am an ethical vegan, and I've seen her do videos to where she really gives compassionate talks about animal rights in regards to animal rights with veganism. So at the end of the day, I personally have to respect that, even though I might disagree with some of the things that she says. Now, as far as her raw before 4, it depends on the person. It depends on how athletic you are. Something like the way that she promotes people eat with the all raw foods, high carb, low fat vegan, which I actually do myself, and I'm losing fat and gaining strength and muscle right now, isn't going to give most athletes enough calories. And then because in the evening you could be eating stuff like baked potatoes and baked starches and other foods like that, they can get you a higher caloric load. But a lot of people, it just depends on the person. For someone who's not very active, who's not very athletic, as long as they aren't developing any dietary deficiencies, that could be a viable strategy for overall weight loss because of the satiety of it. Because let's be honest, raw vegan foods are very satiating. It is hard for you to overeat calories doing that. So for a lot of people, it's almost a mini form of some of the effects you would get from intermittent fasting to do it this way. It's just very difficult to get enough calories in, and then you're full with all these fruits and raw veggies and things like that by the time you get to the evening, and then you're not going to eat very much of the cooked starches and things you eat. And if they're unrefined also, they're very satiating on top of it. You're simply not going to be able to, for most people, to overeat enough calories. Now, the only issue with this lifestyle for someone who's extremely athletic and is a serious athlete is the same issue of you may not be getting enough calories. But for weight management, it's a viable strategy, just like a lot of the other viable strategies. I don't have an issue with it as long as you understand that you are using it as a strategy to keep yourself from eating excessive calories, because you're eating food that is so filling all the time that you're really going to struggle to overeat, particularly if you're somewhat active, which should be the goal. No one should be sedentary who cares about their health or their weight loss. I don't see a problem with it. I think she might misrepresent some of it in the wrong way, but when you step outside of the way that she represents it and ask, will it work though? The question becomes, yeah, it'll work for a lot of people. A lot of people will lose weight doing that and maintain their weight, and a lot of people will probably not be able to gain body fat if they're active and following that method. They probably won't be able to. All right, guys, last question of the week. What are your thoughts on a supplement called X Factor and generally, and I'm going to mispronounce this. I know exactly what it is. I can draw it. I just can't say it. Arachidonic acid consumption. Some people have reported muscle gains and fat loss while trying X Factor supplement, but I remain skeptical about it. Don't ever listen to people's anecdotal supplements. There's placebo effect. There's paid endorsements. I don't know what X Factor is. I don't know, don't care. So let's focus purely upon this acid, this basic acid, which they can't patent. It's probably, I'm assuming from your comments, a major ingredient in their product. So let's just talk about this ingredient itself. All right, this is obviously a naturally occurring fatty acid. It is an omega-6 fatty acid. I would never recommend that people supplement with it, and the reason for it being, none of us are ever deficient unless you're completely fat deficient in general. None of us in the Western world are deficient in 6 fats. And a lot of us have a problem with balancing things like N6 to N3 ratios, which is one of the reasons a lot of people can't convert ALA to EPA and DHA effectively. Most of us simply get too much omega-6 compared to our omega-3. So adding a supplement in of something that you probably already get a fair amount of in your diet, and that in excess can have negative health effects as far as inflammation and other issues, I just can't recommend any benefits to someone supplementing any sort of omega-6 fat. There's no need for it. Eat a little bit of oatmeal. Oatmeal is loaded with omega-6. You'll get any of the benefits you get from supplementing this. Eat a handful of nuts. You're going to get any benefits you might get from that. But the thing is that you don't want to take an excessive amount of omega-6 arbitrarily. And I think supplementing something like that is just taking it in arbitrarily. If anything, you should be supplementing some sort of omega-3 if your overall concern is health and things like that. So no, I don't buy into the hype on people selling omega-6 supplements, which is essentially what this is. Alright guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it has been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time. But let me give you guys a bicep shot before I go. Oh.